Thankfully last year during COVID, during a bittersweet time for the world, I was able to announce that I had a song featured for 8 episodes of a show, I believe 7 episodes of a show. And that happened 2 years ago. I signed a contract, so I had to be quiet for a while, which anybody that knows me is extremely difficult for me to be quiet. And I was able to keep that secret, only told a few people close to me. And it was exciting, even though it's like 6, 7 second clip. It got me a lot of exposure. For some reason, a lot of people, I guess because everyone was at home, they watched the show. And because of that, I got a lot of exposure, and I got a lot of, I got an audience I'd never gotten. I'd put all this time into these records and maybe got a few thousand streams. And as soon as this track came out, it was my first track that, like, between YouTube and Spotify was hitting, like, now it's gonna hit like 1.5 million streams. And that was for me a big deal. And then it started going to my other stuff that I released, even collaborations with your band, Telekinetic Wars and stuff, and just all these tracks that I've done before. And the way that happened was just like my social prowess. I met Duncan Trussell at Burning Man, and to be honest, I was really drunk.
I don't think you've said the name of the show yet.
Oh, the show is The Midnight Gospel on Netflix. It's really, really good. Probably watch it twice because it's a lot of stimulation going on.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, it's by Duncan Trussell and Pendleton Ward, who did Adventure Time. And yeah, they're just a great team, and they'd been working on this for a while. And I got, I feel like, what's that quote? I'm gonna butcher it, but it's like, success is hard work and luck. What is it?
Success is the combination of hard work and like being in the right place at the right time or something like that.
Yeah, I believe in that. That's my philosophy.
Yeah.
I have philosophies, and I'm on podcasts, so I have to be like, this is my philosophy. But I was just there, and I had, don't be afraid to speak to some of your idols and go up to people. Just don't be a weirdo. If you're a good person, send people that are like at least somewhat decent of a person, they'll pick that up. This person's not a threatening vibe. We could pick that up. We're animals. And he picked that up, and we had a talk like right there. He was just arriving at Burning Man. We had a talk with me for like an hour about VR, about consciousness, about music. He gave me his email. He had originally featured my music on his podcast. Like, this is 2016. And then I ran into him again at Burning Man, which is nearly impossible. It's like we ran into each other again without planning, and we hung out for another few hours. I helped him luge his ice to his camp, and we had like a Three Stooges skit happening because everything kept falling. It was really funny. And then a year later, he emailed me if I had the rights to my music, which your boy's professional, I do. And and basically, that's where it happened. And I'd kind of forgotten about it throughout a year, not completely, but I had to like just kind of work on other stuff. And then it dropped on 420 AO of 2020, which was like midst pandemic. Like,
that was the depths of the pandemic right there.
Yeah, so I was like excited and extremely happy. I announced it, and I was actually really not surprised, but just like appreciative of all the feedback I got from people I've known, from like Jake to people I've known recently to people before that, just from all over my life, just being like, you got it, man, keep going. And if I were to give one piece of advice, is have a good circle around you, have a supportive, like genuinely unconditionally supportive friends around you, and be that way towards them as best as you can back. And having a community, a little circle of people, even if it's like 3 or 4 good friends that just will listen to your mixes for you, that's so important. Like, just having a cool surrounding of people around you, because that's been everything I've done that's cool is attributed to like cool people around me and being included into spaces. And I'm incredibly grateful for that. And you guys always included me in spaces when I wasn't, when I was nothing yet. And you guys always threw me on shows, and I was young and inexperienced. I was kind of thrown into the pits because you guys were blowing up at a different time. Like, you guys are doing amazing in the scene and did so many amazing things too. And I feel like I caught a little wind of that when I was first coming up, and I'm always appreciative of that. And I think your music has to be an obsession, or whatever your art form is, whether it's music, art, real estate. You got to have this like a little bit of an obsession. I think the obsession comes naturally. You eventually just don't know what else to do, and it, there's a way to do it where it doesn't completely mess up your mental health. And so I'm appreciative of the road, and there's still so much to do and to work on. I got a bunch of things I've got going on, and hopefully cool things happen.
So you met Duncan Trussell at Burning Man, and then you guys kind of exchanged contact information. At that time, did you know he was interested in like featuring your music at all, or how
I
did
think
that come about?
No, he wasn't. It was sort of happenstance. He had at Burning Man, he had mentioned, "Hey, can you send me your music via email and I'll check it out." And then he was like, "Oh, this is good because I'm doing a post Burning Man podcast and it'd be cool to include it." And he had emailed me, "Hey, I remembered our conversation." He actually like remembered and was like, "That was really cool." And I thought about it throughout my weekend journeys, and that meant a lot to me because I had been listening to him on Joe Rogan for years now. And but in regards to the Netflix show, it wasn't necessarily planned. It was sort of like he was going through his library and the song fit the scene, and then he was like, "Oh, I know this guy." It was kind of random happenstance, but that's life. I got a little
Yeah.
lucky, but also I have my music and enough computers where the odds somewhat get in your favor. The more your network, you got to build a network. I'm sure it's like real estate. You build a network, and it's kind of like an out of nowhere thing. It's a snowball effect.
Oh, success is the result of preparation and hard work. I think there are no secrets to success. It's a result of preparation, hard work, and learning from failure. I
I
guess
think I've
there's so
heard
many quotes about it.
preparation meets timing.
Preparation, hard work, and being in the right place at the right time. I feel like that's something along those lines. But I bring that back up because, like you said, it was kind of like a certain element of luck. Like you were prepared for that moment. You had done the hard work up front, and then it was just a little dash of luck that brought it all together. Because otherwise, you still would have had the song. You still would have had, your fans. Now you have more fans, thankfully. But it's not like you became an artist in order to fulfill this opportunity. You were already who you were. You were already in your lane, so to speak, and your talent and your hard work and your determination and character and everything was recognized by somebody else who was executing at a high level, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot to be said about that. There's a lot to be learned because, nothing is a guaranteed. Nothing is owed to anybody, right? We have to always be focused on our craft, like you said, be a little bit obsessed, and then ultimately things are going to work out the way that they're meant to, is how I feel, and like what's meant for you will be for you, kind of thing. And going back to kind of those early days, I've told you this before. When I first heard your music, I was like, the fuck is this? Like I was like, he's doing interesting stuff, and he, he's obviously creative and talented, but like the arrangements are like all over the place, and like your songwriting ability hadn't quite developed yet, right?
No, at
You
all.
were making dope sounds, but you were trying to figure out how they fit together still, And what was really cool for me personally as a fellow musician was watching your development over the years, and how like sort of your songwriting skills became more polished, and smoother and more well-rounded. And, dude, like the last few live shows I've seen from you, I couldn't even believe like what I was hearing and experiencing was the same, kid who was running around wearing loincloths in the old warehouse, you know?